Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Thursday morning trading session. Um, no, yeah, Thursday. Sorry, it's early here. Sometimes I get a little bit confused. All right, so the market's just opened up. You're looking at the NASDAQ here. And as usual, I'd be happy to take a look at any market which is of interest to you. So don't be shy about asking. Let's take a look here at what's been going on in the overnight. You can see it's been a pretty active overnight session. Where did we leave off yesterday? Well, it was a really active day overall. I didn't check the market much after hours, and it looks like we finished the day more or less around here. And then the Asian session had a nice move lower, a big move higher. Then we get into the European Open. The market reverses on that. So a lot of activity in the overnight. And here we come again, and you can see we've more or less opened where we left off yesterday. So in spite of all that movement through the Asian and the European sessions, the market just didn't really get anywhere. Yeah, like Ackham says, yesterday's afternoon session was a real roller coaster ride, and I can see that. So right now, at least according to the Eagle, we've broken the hard edge, and we know to anticipate some sort of reaction when we get into a break of the hard edge. So we'll just let that play out here for a moment. It's still just the first few minutes of trading. I'm going to try not to get too anxious here. We do have a lot of room for possible retracement, however. So here was excuse me. Sorry, I had a little bit of a coughing fit there. Here was a macro pullback just out of the open that had a nice little follow through. The macro pullback signal, of course, occurs when this is on your hawk, where everything stays in sync except the micro trend line. That's this thin one. It goes out of sync. Everything else stays in sync. You generate a signal, warning dot, triangle hash mark, and you can see we had a nice little decline from there, at least enough to find our first profit objective. Almost looks as though we're trying to build into a little bit of a consolidation pattern. Again, I'm trying not to get too anxious here. Until we get a better idea of which way the market might be trending. If in fact we are going to see a trend today. Or is it going to be one of these sideways choppy sorts of days? I'm also watching gold and crude oil. Crude oil still hovering precariously over that $30 a barrel support. Yeah, Yeah, we've definitely got a bit of a sideways range going on now. If we take a look here at our um, Raptor, maybe more of a wedge style even. Oh, I missed this. We had yet another macro pullback signal right here on the hawk. It's not the same one, is it? No, that's the second one. A nice macro pullback signal out of that one. Gold is finding itself in a little bit of a rally. We are getting a signal here on the Falcon. This is a trend change signal. The market has been in a downtrend for the most part, and we're kind of confined in a larger trading range. So even though this is a trend change signal, and you might consider taking it, maybe we'll consider taking it on the second push. Can I cover it down below the lows? No, didn't think so. It's a little bit too far away. Can I cover it below the swing? Yes, I can do that. So it's what I'm going to do is set up just above the high of the current bar. The problem with the gold trade here is that we've had several tests of the low. It's hard to say at this point whether or not we're going to see yet another test of the extreme. So if I get filled here, I just don't want to get brought in prematurely. But it does look as though gold may be ready to rally a little bit higher. And speaking of maybe rallying a little bit higher, we do have the NASDAQ back down at some substantial lows. These were the lows here from the overnight. As well as yesterday's session. So there's the overnight. Oops. And there's one of the lows from yesterday. Yeah, that's it. So you can see there's certainly room here, but we are getting toward a more sensitive price area. And here too, we haven't really seen a real good test of the extreme, have we? The market has fallen off and found our profit objective had I taken that short position. But let's see how they respond now that we're down here. Okay, gold is tailing off a little bit from our signal. It hasn't filled the signal yet, thank goodness. Oh, actually, these guys are heading lower still too. Okay. Not quite what I was expecting, but that's all right. Just waiting for a follow-up signal here now, folks. The market kind of fled from me a little out of the open. The open is always a bit of a tough call. So we'll just have to wait a few moments here. Alex asked a good question here. He says, Eric, on the Hawk, how do you know when it's too late to trade? Now, are you referring too late in the day, Alex? Then the question is never. So long as you get a decent signal, you're okay trading. What I find a little bit more difficult to judge sometimes is whether it's too early to trade. For instance, right out of the open, right? Right out of the open, we had the first micro macro cross signal right here. And because it was the open, I was a little bit hesitant about taking the signal. And of course, it had exceptional follow through to it. And then it came right back with a macro pullback signal. Well, again, we're only 2 minutes into the session. I'm still, trying to get my bearings, trying to see which way the wind is blowing. And there they go again. And then they come back with yet another macro pullback. And you could also see this as a 4-arrow consolidation if you wanted. And of course, there they go again, and yet another macro pullback. Now, to be honest, this macro pullback I would have started to get very suspect because we don't usually see 3 macro pullbacks within a trend. But it is a strong signal. I should have done something with it, and there they go again. So they caught me a little bit flat-footed here this morning. Now we're coming with a first micro macro cross to the upside. Now the funny thing is I was just talking to somebody yesterday about doing this type of thing where we've got a first micro macro cross against a very strong downtrend. So he was saying, Eric, should I take that first micro macro cross? Well, the short answer is yes. Oops, and they've just bolted on me here. We'll submit it like this. The short answer is yes. The long answer is you have to take the whole context of the trade into account. So while it is a high probability signal, don't be surprised if this signal fails because of the very strong downtrend. Does that make sense? Okay, so we've hit our profit, or pardon me, our break-even trigger. We would have hit our profit objective as well. You can see I'm still holding my stops here. I'll engage them in a moment. Oh, they would have hit me at break-even. Okay, now we're into a macro pullback. Come on, there we go. So there's the macro pullback. Now what we're seeing is we're seeing the buyers try to recover the trade. So I'm going to get more aggressive with my stops now. And I'll take that break-even trade. And what I'm trying to do here is, since I'm running a single contract, I'm just trying to nurse this trade a little bit. Hopefully I can ride out this swing. We've no doubt gotten a trend change signal. Yes, we have. We've gotten trend change signals on the Falcon and the Raptor as well. And you can see we're into the hard edge here on the Eagle. So this is a very interesting situation that we have here right now. Oh, don't tag me at break even after all that hard work. Oh, you scoundrels. So we still have a market that's in limbo here, and it's trying really hard to make up its mind whether it wants to go higher or lower. So I suppose what I should have done is just taken the profit when I had it, instead of trying to get a little bit cute with the market. We've seen such nice rally days the last couple of days. Well, trending days, I should say. Rally days is incorrect, as the market has been falling off. But we've seen such nice trending days the last few days that it's just so tempting to try to run a contract. All right, so now we're getting interesting here. We're getting a couple of things going on. Getting a possible green bar sell here on the Eagle. You can see the Raptor flip-flopping quite a bit. So we came into the hard edge. The band actually turned over for just a moment. We'll see here momentarily whether this was the last effort on the part of the buyers and the sellers will resume the trend, or whether the buyers are going to take it away from them here. Okay, so we're introducing some yellow bars now into our hawk. So here on the Falcon, we can see pretty plainly, here's our support. See, here's the support on the lows. And then here's the resistance on the highs. And the resistance happens to be falling right near our median line. How do you like that? Oh, come on now, don't be running away on me just yet. Oh, you stinkers. All right, you gonna be like that? All right, so here's an eagle trade. We produced the signal right here. It's essentially a follow through from our green bar sell. Can I cover it up there? Yes, I can. All right, so I'll look to short the eagle. If we take out the low, it's essentially a second push on this signal right here. And this is a very late test of the extreme, right? The market's come down. Very late test of the extreme. What's giving me pause is, the question is this a test of the extreme of the high, a test of the high, or is it a test of the low and the market will reverse and head higher? So no real clear clue at the moment, and that's what's making this a lot more difficult than it should be. All right, so market attempting to retest the lows now. Come on. Come on. There we go. Get down there. All right, so we've hit the break-even stop, which is fine by me. We'll see whether or not we can slip low enough here to hit our first profit target. Unfortunately, I'm just running a single contract, so if the market does move much lower from here, I'll be content with my profit objective. Ryman's asking a good question. Ryman asks, how many ticks do you set on your target one on the NASDAQ? Well, it depends on the tool that I'm using. So for the, and this is universal by the way, for the Eagle, I want a $200 target. So the NASDAQ trades at $5 a tick, so that would be a 40 tick target. The Hawk, on the other hand, we want a 50 tick target. So for the NASDAQ, that would be 10 ticks. For the Falcon, we have, and the Raptor, we have a 100 tick target or $100 target. So that would be 20 ticks. You can see here the Raptor or the Falcon. Sorry I missed this one, folks. I hope somebody picked it up. We had a late filter entry signal here about 5-6 minutes ago. Late filter entries occur on the Falcon when the trend line does not change color, but the filter goes out of sync and then comes back into sync. Very, very strong signal. You can see here we had a late filter entry to the upside as well, where the trend line did not change color, but the filter did. It went out of sync, came back into sync. Notice too how the late filter entry signal, like the macro pullback or on the Eagle, if we see too many red bar buys or green bar sells, you don't want to see too many of these. If you keep seeing late filter entry, late filter entry, late filter entry, you should become a little bit suspect. So you can see the first one worked out just fine. Second one, not so much. It's still a late filter entry, but it didn't have nearly the follow through. In fact, it ended up reversing on you and probably stopping you out. Well, it did stop you out, it just depends where. But notice this late filter entry, it's the first one, and just look at that incredible move out of that. So a very high probability signal for you to look for. And our Eagle trade worked out very nice. I'm going to remove those trend lines there. So I could have held in for a little bit more, but that's always the issue when you're trading a single contract, isn't it? Do I try to let it run out a bit, or do I just take my profit when I have it? All right, well, the only unfortunate part here is that I didn't take the companion signals on the other charts, because we did have one. We had a itty bitty macro pullback right here. You can see the trend line went out of sync just for a moment, but just look at that progression. Amazing, just a beautiful move. We already looked at the Falcon. Let's take a look here at the Raptor. Nice cloud crossover signal. Good support going back into the cloud. If you didn't get it there, you certainly had a great opportunity to take it right there. Plenty of time anyway before the market made its decline. Yeah, just a nice little move there out of the Raptor. Not to worry though, if you didn't catch that big move lower or the one before that, there's always another trade, folks. You shouldn't be too upset with yourself if you miss a big move. Yes, it's unpleasant, but believe me, it won't be the last time you miss a trade. I miss great trades almost every day. Wow, this is a crazy move. Sorry, I was looking somewhere else. I just noticed here we had yet another late filter entry signal on the Falcon. I'm sorry, I should have saw that one. I was scanning my other charts. Okay, gold has since put in a rally. Crude oil slipping a little bit. And here the NQ starting to gather a little bit of support. You can see we're starting to move a little bit sideways. It's kind of obvious here on the Raptor where we've come down. Now we're drifting a little bit. If I shoot a trend line across the highs today, it's looking something like that. Just a whole lot of trading going on here. following the stock indices. All right. Can't stay in free fall forever. Somewhere along the line, the buyers will step in, or the selling will just stop. Wow, really? Yep, really. Okay. I admit I'm a little bit chicken shorting at these levels. We did get a 4-arrow consolidation signal right here. Oh, now we're getting into yellow bars. Now it looks like not necessarily calling a full-out reversal here, folks, but a little bit of buying all the same. Did manage to get back into the trend line here on the Raptor. There we go. Oh, glad to hear it. Ryman says the indicator warehouse ultimate support and resistance suite. He says he's finding the lines very helpful. Glad to hear it, Ryman. Yeah, look at these ranges though. Look at the ranges between the lines. Compare that with what we've seen over the last few days where the lines have been running a little bit tighter, or actually not the last few days, but the week before where the lines were running much tighter. We've got some serious ranges going on here. And now we're flirting with the primary support line again. And it does seem to be lending a little bit of support to the market. We're working on a possible trend change signal here. Again, I'm not going to go crazy on the buy side, but it does look as though the buyers are getting maybe a little bit stronger, at least for a few bars. Yeah, Akeem says, same story as yesterday, very difficult to get in. It certainly is. When the market is rallying hard or trending hard, it is very difficult sometimes to get that second entry into the market. The thing to do is to try to be as patient as you can and try to pick and choose your signals. Here on the Raptor, for instance, we're getting our buy signal. Here, I'll just punch one in. Where's my buy signal? Where did it go? Oh, why is it not displaying? All right, hold on a second here. Might have a little technical difficulty. Oops. I hit my flatten everything button, and I forgot that that disables my trade manager. So, where are you? Strategies. Let's see if it, okay, it looks like it's all working. All right, sorry about that. Here, I'm just going to toss my strategies on my other charts. We've still got time, not to worry. If the market is in transition, we've got a few minutes here to sort things out. It's not going to do this on a dime. Change direction, I mean. Okay, you can see we're just kind of really working a little bit sideways here at the moment. All right, we'll see if the Raptor comes back here with yet another sell signal. Come on. I'm trying to watch the Geiger counter too. No, the buyers are stepping in. You see the way the dial had swung over here to the buy side? We saw all this buying activity. What I'm interested in is when it pulls over and holds. All right, so there we go. Oops, I didn't get my profit objective I wanted, but that's all right. Oops, that's not what I wanted either. Oh, you stinkers. They're holding the lows here. I wanted to enter just below the low. It looks like I caught it just on the low. And this is adding a little bit of bullishness to the market. Come on, give me another bar lower here. Come on. No, doggone it. So they tagged me here right on the low. I was looking to enter below this obvious support that was here. I'm going to get more aggressive here on my stops in a moment. That's all I'll give them. This is all they got to play with. Get down there. 60. Yeah, we're going to get a reversal on this, and we're probably going to see the market put in a rally out of this. So what I'll do is, if I get tagged here, which I'm going to get tagged, we're going to see a buy order here in a second. Actually, the buy order occurred right back here. We've got a cloud crossover, and we'll see whether or not we can't get that support to come into the market now. Oh, you guys, don't tell me you're not going to give me a second chance on that signal. So this was the signal right here. Normally what happens is the market gets up here a couple of bars, gives you another signal. That's what happens most of the time. Well, here's my subsequent signal. It's much higher than I would like it to be. Here we haven't printed it yet. There it is. Oh, and I wanted 2 contracts. Here we go.
Order canceled. Order
pending. Well, that didn't play out quite as planned. So what I'm looking for now, the reason I have my entry stop a little bit above the high of this bar, above these hash marks, is I'm looking for that cloud crossover support that should have occurred back here, but it didn't. It came in a little bit, or it hasn't come in just yet. And actually what I'll do, I said I wasn't going to go crazy on the buy side. So we'll just leave it as a single. Alright, so here's that same order. Not exactly the cloud crossover support I was looking for, but hey, if they're going to go, I'll take it. And what I'll do is I will hit I eliminated my profit target. I left the break-even trigger in. I don't have a stop in play just yet, but I will use this area here. If the market comes down to that, I will exit my position there. I'm just trying to get a little bit of room here before I take the trade to a break even. Probable target for me, where's the support and resistance lines? 4180. That's what I'm going to be shooting for. Okay, we've got a few bars In our direction now, I'm going to enable my stops, and you can see I've got automatically the trade has rolled it to break even. Is it too early for parabolics? Okay, we'll go with parabolics. So 41.80 right up here, that's going to be a resistance area. Oh, baby, don't look back. Oh, okay, well, that's all right. They reacted a little bit early. I was hoping they'd just go straight to 41.80 and then give me the bounce, but they didn't see it that way. So there have been opportunities today, no question. You need nerves of steel trading today, and you also need to be pretty quick about it, about your decision making. I waffled a couple of times, and you see what happened. The market just bolted. And now they're getting up to the 41.80 area. Crude oil here on the Eagle, giving us a red bar buy. Now this is a tough little trade here, folks. But we would be looking for a little bit of a rally to come out of here. The ATR has since flipped over, so everything is in sync on this buy signal. Ideally, you would have wanted to be long on the hash mark, but it didn't work out that way. So it's looking like a little bit of a second push now off of this bar. And if this fails, we may actually have a sell signal. So it's teeing up to, pardon me, to go either way. But right now it's looking like the buyers are going to give it a little bit of a nudge. Where's our primary resistance sitting at? 42.20, 42.19. It's still a long ways away. The thing about trading also is that, you know, as annoying as it is to look at a chart like this and just see one gorgeous signal after the next, you know, the market just exploding on your screen. you don't need to take all those signals, right? You really just need to take a couple of signals a couple of times a day. But so long as you're right, that's the kicker. You need to be right on your trade. And to that end, you want to keep a lookout for the highest probability setups. Right? You want to be focused on those things like red bar buys, cloud crossovers on your Raptor, hard edge bounces on your Raptor, first micro macro cross signals on your Hawk. And, you know, occasionally there's going to be days where the market is just moving so fast that you may not get a second chance. So we had the rule of three signal right here, 1, 2, 3. You really have to be watching carefully because that was your only chance to buy that market. Now that it's made this monster move higher, we're all kind of on hold looking for the next opportunity. And we're right back near where we started the day. You can see 41.96. Those were the highs of this morning. That's shortly after the market opened. Wow, we covered a whole lot of territory today. The whole 4,200 area could be a little problematic as well. Speaking of recovering all your gains on the day, here's the gold market. So gold opened down here, put in a rally, and has since recovered to where it started also. This seems to be a little bit of a theme, as crude oil might also be doing the same, hopefully, because we are long on crude oil. Here's our crude oil trade. And you can see crude oil began the day, actually they started down here, rallied up, came back down, recovered all their earlier gains, and now we're looking for them to possibly get back up there again. A little bit of a quiet-ish day for crude. Ryman says, same deal in the E-mini. That'll pretty much be the theme across the board today for all the stock indices. We just have to wait, unfortunately. We've got that crude oil trade underway, so we're doing okay. And trading is an activity you really don't want to get greedy. All right, so we're starting to see the market break down maybe a little bit. We have a couple macro pullback signals there, followed by a yellow bar, which we know is neutral. The trend line starting to waffle a little bit here on the Falcon. Here on the Eagle and the Raptor, you can see the market starting to drift a little bit sideways. Oh baby, are they really going to do this? And they are. Oh my goodness. There's not a lot of structure here this morning. You know, usually we get a very nice, clean setup, something that's easy to trade. Not so much right now. I'm punching out of my crude oil trade, by the way. This is how we had it set up. Where did I buy above? Somewhere around here, I think it was. I'll have to check my paperwork. Oops. Stop it. Okay, it was something like this. We got a nice clean breakout from this resistance area here. However, notice this current bar. We're starting to flounder a little bit. My stops had since rolled to break even. And it's not to say that crude oil will not head higher from here, but this bar, the fact that we're starting to flinch a little bit, I just chose to punch out with profit. So for the extra, I think there was another $100 in play up here. It's not worth losing the $280 to try to get that extra 100. So I chose just to pop out and take the open profit. And we'll see whether or not that was a good idea. Well, I guess it's never a bad idea to take profit. It's a very interesting day to see whether or not we're going to see another trend develop here. Whether in fact we're going to see the market rally now. And after that huge downtrend, actually come back and give us an uptrend today. Stranger things have happened. Wow, just look at them go. Another, sorry, I'm scanning too many charts here. You know, that's one thing people often ask me, you know, how can I follow more markets? I don't know if you want to follow more markets, especially on a day like today. Look at this. We had another beautiful late filter entry. I was studying the gold chart here, looking because gold is in a bit of a tailspin. I missed this one again. I missed a late filter entry signal. The late filter entry signal on your Falcon is like your first micro macro cross signal on the Hawk. It's one of those signals that you just take it. It's a very reliable signal. So let's see, where did I say next resistance was? 42.20. That's going to be the primary. So somewhere around 42.19 quarter, 42.20. Things could get a little bit sticky. And here they go. They are going to press right on through to 42.20. And it does look like perhaps I did get out of my crude oil trade. I was a touch anxious. Here's that bar that I popped out on, and the market in fact would have gone higher, giving me that extra $100 in profit. Oh well. Still doing my share. Things could get really wild around this area now that we've hit the primary resistance. Because now we have a market which is in an uptrend, right? There's no question. That is in an uptrend. And 20 minutes before that, it was in a downtrend. So what's going to happen next? Will the buyers be able to hold on to the trend? Will the sellers step in and squash them? Stay tuned. Okay, so we keep hitting the highs here around the 42.24 area. Pardon me. Just out of curiosity, let me scroll back to yesterday's highs. 14.13, okay. Yeah, 42.90. I thought we were up here a little ways. Oh, sorry, that's from the overnight. I'm trying to shoot a trend line from yesterday's highs off of the open. and compare that to where we are now. Oh, cross that way back there. Okay. I was wondering how it might compare to where the market is right now, seeing how, well, it's still moving higher. It has slowed somewhat on the momentum. And I thought maybe there was a chance that we were intersecting yesterday's highs. Gary says he's got the dome up and he's watching the activity. He says, totally amazing. He says, you usually don't see activity like this except off of the open. I believe that. So what Gary's referring to, for those of you who don't know what the dome is, this is the dome. And you can get to the dome here by new, and you do dynamic superdome. Oops. And then you plug in your account. Well, actually, I guess I can leave it on sim. It doesn't matter. And oh, I need the right month. Oh, yeah. There we go. And you can see the buy and sell orders here. And just look at how the market is chopping around. Like Gary says, that doesn't usually happen that way. Where you get this much activity going on. Now, the dome, some people like to watch it. The idea behind watching the dome, in case you're curious, is you tend to watch these outliers, these numbers up here. And if you see abnormally high or low numbers show up there, then sometimes you will anticipate that the market will try to move in that direction. But for the most part, it just makes most people dizzy. All right, so here we go. After all that, we're finally getting a little bit of a retracement now. Crude oil also putting on the brakes. So I missed out on a little bit of extra, but not too much extra. And here too, we don't want to get too crazy with sell signals, even though we do have an opportunity to short this signal, this trend change signal, and cover above the high. That would be the favorable part about taking this signal, is the fact that you can cover above the high, kind of treat it like a quick little hit and run, which in fact the market did do, fell off slightly there and found your first profit target. Boy, you really got to be paying attention today. There's no, look away for a moment or go get a coffee and come back. Some very, very fast trading going on today, which means that tomorrow is likely to be pretty quiet. Pretty quiet, pretty sideways. Okay, we've got a first micro macro cross here on the hawk, and I know I always say I take these almost without exception, and you can, but I'd only throw a onesie on it. Why? Well, because we're into the hard edge here on the eagle and the raptor. And as you know, whenever we encounter the hard edge, we usually anticipate some sort of reaction. Okay, here's a macro pullback signal. Same deal. You know, if you're going to take the macro pullback, that's fine, but maybe you just want to throw a onesie on it. Right? Maybe you want to do this kind of thing where you take the signal, you cover maybe up here. If it works, great. If it doesn't, well, you're out $100. It's not something at this stage where I would want to go, you know, take my full allotment and take a $200 hit on it. Why? Well, because like I said, we do have a market that has hit the hard edge on the eagle, and it's not clear yet whether we're in a transition or a full-on, a transition and a full-on trend change, or if this is merely a pause and we're going to see the market trade higher still. You see here the Falcon is already starting to get into some trend change signals, and here the hawk is starting to unravel. Got our hard edge bounce and red bar buy here on the eagle. So we've got a lot going on here at the moment. Just waiting for the dust to settle a little bit, looking for a second push here on the eagle. And as fast as the market has been moving today, that might be a mistake. All right, yeah, it is. Doggone it, didn't get my second push or anything. Here's our first micro macro cross, and that one too has run away on me. Okay. So we've got a few odd things going on here at the moment. See here on the Falcon, our trend line is starting to resemble a roller coaster. That's your first clue that the market is losing momentum. Surprised we haven't seen more yellow bars here on the hawk. I'm curious whether this move here was enough to find our profit objective. Yeah. So we've come back, we've retested the highs. All right, now we're getting those yellow bars. Now we're getting another trend change signal here on the Falcon, which I was again looking elsewhere. I think I'm just going to concentrate on the NASDAQ here for now. So we had the trend change signal. Again, the nice thing about this is the fact that you can cover it above the high. Not that it's an especially strong signal because the market has no trend right now, but the fact that you can cover it above the high is appealing. You have a definite place to say, yeah, I was wrong. You're working on a possible first micro-macro cross, also working on a raptor signal here off of the hard edge. I'm going to try to jump into this raptor signal. This is very risky. And let me see about covering the trade. All right, so we've hit the first target. I'm going to enable my break-even trigger. And obviously what I'm looking for is I'm looking for this hard edge bounce to continue the trend. It looked like the market was trying to reverse on the trend here, came out with a hard edge bounce. That had good follow through. Tried to reverse yet again, came into the first hard edge, bounced, and this is what I'm trying to take advantage of. Kind of, the momentum seems to have gone out of this market where it almost looks as though we're trying to push higher on vapors. If this bar finishes bullish, this will be a great bar to roll my stops underneath. Come on, give me that swing. Okay, well, there we go. Ryman's asking, could you comment more on the yellow bars? Are you referring to the yellow bars on the Raptor or the Hawk? They're more significant on the Hawk than they are on the Raptor. I may as well comment on both. On the Raptor, they're just part of the trading equation. I don't mind them as much. I know when I produced some of the Raptor materials, I said avoid the yellow bars, but I've since changed my mind about that. You can produce some very nice signals off of yellow bars. In fact, Jim for a while and we were both working on a yellow bar signal as far as the Raptor goes. So you can see that the yellow bar is not as significant on the Raptor. However, on the Hawk, very significant. Yellow bars are neutral. So this macro pullback signal got spoiled by the yellow bars. The only yellow bar signal I will take is a 4-arrow consolidation. Well, actually, I spoke too soon because this yellow bar is a 4-arrow consolidation. 1, 2, 3, fourth signal. The 4-arrow consolidation is so strong a signal that I will take it even off of a yellow bar. But when I was first glancing at this, I didn't notice the arrows before here, so I viewed this simply as a macro pullback. The problem with the yellow bars is, as I said, by their nature, they're neutral. They have zero bias. So for every yellow bar signal you find me that works, I can probably find you 2 that do not work, which is why I tend to avoid the yellow bars. When we first brought out the DTS system a few years ago, and Stephanie was still with Indicator Warehouse, she tried to persuade me to trade yellow bars. I don't know why. Stephanie, I guess, being Stephanie, she was a little anxious to get into some trades. And I said, no, Stephanie, you want to avoid it. And she happened to be trading one day where the market was very strong, like today, and it was producing yellow bar signals, and I think she made like $2,000 that day. And she said, no, Eric, the yellow bar signals work. Well, then the next day, the market was not trending, which is what tends to happen. If we have a very strong trending day like we do today, the next day you can anticipate that the market will not trend so well. It will probably be very choppy tomorrow. So long story short, Stephanie was taking a bunch of yellow bar signals on a day that was not trending well, and I think she gave back the $2,000 that she made the day before. So yellow bars on the Hawk, best avoided. Yellow bars on the Raptor, not as big a deal, but you want to take the context into account. Like what is preceding that yellow bar? So here's a yellow bar on a buy. I'm going to eliminate these ranges here because we don't need them right now. Here's a yellow bar on a buy. Not such a bad signal because we've had a test of the extreme before it. Right? We've had that little itty bitty test of the extreme, a bounce off of the hard edge. This is our buy signal. The fact that the bar went yellow just before or at the buy signal, not so significant. Here's a yellow bar, again, bouncing off of support, holding the support area. The only thing that would give me pause here is that perhaps it's a test of the extreme, a test of the highs. So I would want to cover this trade a little bit deeper in case it tries to retrace back into the hard edge. Oh, interesting. Ryman says, so far on the E-mini, there's no yellow bars on the Raptor. Yeah, that's not unusual. Sometimes you won't print any yellow bars on the Raptor. Another very nice late filter entry signal here on the Falcon. I'm a little disappointed now that I've missed 3 of these. And this one too is nice because you got the signal. You could cover above the high. No problem. No problemo. All right, let's see if we can't sneak one more trade out of here. First micro macro cross signal. I think it hit its profit objective. It looks like we're going to get a little bit of heat on this trade. The Raptor perhaps giving us our cloud crossover. Working on a little bit of a trend change here with the Raptor now. We're going to produce a sell signal. We don't have a warning dot yet. Wow. Akeem says the NASDAQ's volume is 46% higher today than the average, and the Dow is 30% higher than its normal. That's a lot. All right, folks, we're breaking down here a little bit. We're getting a macro pullback signal, a possible 4-arrow consolidation. So there's the macro pullback, which I just missed. Oh, doggone it, don't leave me hanging again. And we're getting a short signal here on the Raptor, so maybe this will be the one to do. So sell below the lows, or you can sell the hash mark if you choose. It's essentially what I'm looking for here is a cloud crossover and perhaps a little bit of a move lower. You could even short just below the low of this current bar. We'll get an order in play here, even though I won't leave my stops way up there. It's just now at least I have a stop. There we go. It's a little better. Come on down. See if they don't try to get back to that 42 area, 4200. Oh, don't be flinching right now. Come on. Just a little bit lower. Come on. Come on. All right. I'm liking this bar here with this tall wick on it. That shows me that there's been some significant buying here. And if this bar finishes low, that tells me that the sellers have control. And if I so choose, I could decide to become a little bit more aggressive with my stop now. And perhaps start to roll my stops a little bit more aggressively. Come on, get me to that break even. Just take out that low. You know you want to. Come on. Oh, whew, that was hard work. All right, so we've hit our first profit objective. And let's see if we can't take this a little bit lower still. Okay, well, the bar high-low strategy brought me in a little bit too tight. Parabolics, no, I would have been stopped at break even or very close. Well, that's all right. It's a profit's still a profit, right? And on that note, I think we're going to close up the room for today. If you are trading this afternoon, wow, it is a crazy day. I would anticipate the market to, well, now that we're back below this primary support zone, well, 4,200 is going to be one of those psychological support areas, right? So that's going to be an important one. And I could see probably a run here to 41.79. That's entirely plausible. But this market is, it's strong and it's weak at the same time. The buyers had their kick at the cat last time round, so I don't know, maybe we should be suspect about any moves lower. Either way, be careful. All right, you guys. I'll catch you tomorrow morning. We'll talk to you then. Bye for now.